We're here in Parliament House. The World Animal Protection campaign team has been having meetings back to back today and will be here again tomorrow. We're meeting to push forward with our campaign for an independent office of animal welfare. We've been getting a good hearing. We've met with all sides of politics, from the Prime Minister's office to a number of backbenchers, and we're being heard. Your views, your support for an independent office of animal welfare is getting a good hearing here in Parliament. So while we're here, we thought we'd just take some time to answer some of the questions that you've been sending in to find out more about how an independent office of animal welfare would work. So we've had a question from Claire, and Claire asked, so is the current Animal Welfare Office run by government? She says it might be a silly question, but I'm not sure. It's not a silly question at all. The fact is, at the moment, there isn't an office for animal welfare at the federal level in Australia. There used to be a small staff in the Department of Agriculture looking after animal welfare, but they don't exist anymore. There used to be a strategy for animal welfare in Australia. That doesn't exist anymore. And the Commonwealth government used to provide funding for that strategy, and that funding doesn't exist anymore. So at the moment there's a void at the national level when it comes to animal welfare, and that's why we've launched this campaign, because we want to fill that void and put back national frameworks for animal welfare and make them more effective. So that's what this campaign's all about. Now Jessica has asked, how does Australia compare internationally on animal welfare? In 2014, World Animal Protection launched the Animal Protection Index, which was a ranking of the world's top 50 livestock producing countries. And it was, the countries were judged on objective scientific criteria. Now Australia only scored a C in that index, which for a developed country is not a particularly good score. And one of the reasons why Australia didn't do very well in that ranking is because the frameworks for animal welfare at the national level had just been dismantled, and that was seen as a barrier to progress. Now Australia at any one time has about 200 million animals in its care, so it is really important that we have robust frameworks for animal welfare that drive progress forward so animals can have a better life. We've had lots of questions asking us what's wrong with the current animal welfare frameworks in Australia. So there's no leadership, there's no plan, there's not really a strategy, and there's no funding at the national level to progress a strategy for animal welfare. But one of the most important failings that we're all concerned about is that there's no balance for animal welfare. So the standard setting processes, they go extremely slowly, and they're dominated in large part by industry. And the concern is that people who care about animals don't have enough of a hearing in those processes. So that's another thing that we really want to redress with the independent office. Andrea's asked, what solution is World Animal Protection proposing? Well, we're proposing an independent office of animal welfare. It would be a statutory body, and it would have some legislative protection so that it could speak out independently and be a champion for animals, and could give the minister, whoever that might be, frank and fearless advice about the state of animal welfare in the country. It would have a clear remit and a timetable to progress animal welfare and to review and revise standards of animal care in the country. And it would also see responsibilities for animal welfare that fall to the Commonwealth Government. So Chris and Julie have asked us questions about the legal powers of an independent office. In this country, the legislative regulatory responsibility for animal welfare falls to the states and territories. we're calling for an independent Office of Animal Welfare that would coordinate at the policy level standard setting. So the standards would still be implemented by the states and territories, but you would at least have national coordination to drive progress right across the country, instead of the current mishmash we have and patchwork of standards across states and territories. Patricia's asked us about what support there is for an independent Office of Animal Welfare. Currently, the Australian Labor Party, the ALP, has an independent Office for Animal Welfare as part of their national policy platform, and they recommitted to that following a lot of advocacy from our supporters. They recommitted to it at their national conference in July last year. What we want to see now is a recommitment to the independent office as a firm election commitment this year. The Greens have a bill to establish an independent Office of Animal Welfare, and that bill is sitting in the Parliament at the moment. So of course we would welcome all sides of the Parliament supporting that bill to make it become a reality. We're talking to the coalition government about establishing national frameworks for animal welfare and an independent office, and with all your letters that are going to MPs, letters that are going to the Prime Minister, and all the signatures on the petition to the Prime Minister, we're hoping that we can persuade the government to also support national frameworks for animal welfare and an independent office. We've been asked if other countries have the sort of frameworks that we're calling for Australia, and yes, they do. New Zealand has a statutory advisory committee for animal welfare. Similar committees in the United Kingdom. The EU also has frameworks for animal welfare. India has an advisory committee for animal welfare as well. So what we're asking for would place Australia in the company of other countries and help see that we don't fall further behind. We've had lots of questions about what the overall benefits of this would be, and of course first and foremost for us is the benefits for animals, but having a better reputation on animal welfare would also be of support to industry. And of course having a poor reputation on animal welfare presents risks to industry. So people are asking us, what can I do to help bring about the establishment of an independent Office of Animal Welfare? And the most important thing you can do at the moment is to sign the petition. In a couple of weeks' time, we're going to be handing over that petition to the Prime Minister, and we'll also be tabling the petitions that have come in on paper with the Parliament. And it is so important that our elected representatives in Parliament, the people who make decisions about Australia's animals, hear from you that you support a strong champion, a strong voice for animals. So please, if you've signed the petition already, that is fantastic, but please share it with your friends, share it with your family. Let's get as many names as we possibly can on that petition so that the strength of feeling for animals is really felt here in the Parliament and we can get those election commitments.